just a short video talking about how the trials in this life can seem so bizarre, like you're in a twilight zone. And it brings me back to that verse that talks about, like, don't think it's strange when you're in a fiery trial. Because wow, you guys, I'm just saying, like, if you're really walking with Jesus and you're really submitting to him every day and you're really wanting to grow and allow him to transform you and to bring things out of your character that he wants to make you acknowledge that needs change, or if you're confessing of sin, right, and you're acknowledging that there's things in your heart that is displeasing to you because God's revealed them being displeasing to him, and you're really working to go to Jesus to be refined in his fire, like, I'm just letting you know that I've been walking with God since 2008-ish, and I'm telling you, like, I know Jesus Christ, but he's still a mystery to me, because just as soon as I think I figure him out, it's like, bam, man, he gets bigger, right? He's so much bigger. He's so much more huge than we can really fathom in this mind and in this heart. And then I learn in these trials that my own heart is like its own galaxy. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I feel like a gerbil being dropped into this maze in my own heart, and I'm just like navigating, this maze that I have no idea where it's going. I'm relying on faith. I'm relying on God's voice to guide me every day, and his truth to guide me every day, and just relying on faith. And it's like I walk through my own heart, and I'm walking through an unknown territory, like super, super unknown. And I mean, it just makes sense with all the Bible verses that God has thrown at us to really help us feel sane when we find ourselves in these type of moments. So, like, I just wanted to talk about it because it's comical, and it's also scary, and it's exciting, and it's terrifying all at the same time to know how much I am still learning about my own heart. One that God has really taught me so much on the last, my entire life, but really deeply, more so in the last 12 years. So it's like, bam, just when you think you know yourself, you get deeper, and you get bigger, and your heart enlarges, and there's like all these mysteries and all these doors that God's like opening and revealing, and it's all a part of the test. And this is no shock to Jesus. I love it. I love that he's like sitting here watching me go through my life test, knowing that, every single day, knowing everything that I was going to walk through, and he's in control. So it's like, it's just deep. And he's like, I'm after God's heart. This is so true, you guys. I'm after God's heart. So it's just funny when you think about, like, the closer a heart gets to Jesus, the more that you dig to want to know who he is, the more that you're actually opening doors of revelations that God's going to open to you to even know about your own self. And just the deep revelations of your own heart that you did not even know existed. And it's mind-blowing, and God is so deep, you guys. Man, he is such a big God, and he has so much that he wants to share with us, and I love him. I respect him. I adore him. He terrifies me at the same time, because you don't know. Like, it reminds me of those, like, those games, that you would see, like, on maybe the 80s and 90s, where they'll say, okay, behind, you have to guess, behind door number 1. What's behind door number 2? What's behind door number 3? And I'm sitting here going, oh man, it could be anything, and it's like, what door is God going to have me walk through next? Of my own heart, of his heart, of my own trials. And it becomes this, this journey. Obviously, I'm on a journey. It's exciting, it's scary, it's terrifying, but it's beautiful. And it's a story that God's writing for me, and for him, and for us, and everybody has their own story. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I was having these thoughts with Jesus a little bit ago, and I'm just like, wow, you are such a big God. Just when you think you get yourself figured out, or when you get God figured out, man, he is like surprising you with new understanding, new revelations, things you can't even fathom and comprehend and really can't predict. So it's like, it's amazing. God's amazing, you guys. I just know that he's a loving God, he's a righteous God, he's a holy God, he is just, and he has so much that he wants to share with us behind all of these doors to our heart, to his heart, knowledge, wisdom, revelations, understanding that goes so deep that each door that I walk through, that God himself opens for me, is explosive. Not just one lesson, not just one like classroom that he's having me learn behind this door, but an endless doorway of lessons that are eternal, things that I will not only take with me in this life and help me grow in my character and just wisdom and knowledge and understanding about like the spiritual things and of God's heart, but also of paradise, of eternity with God. Like I know I'm ever learning, ever growing, and I'll never stop learning. I'll never stop growing. I'll never stop seeking. I'll never stop walking through these doors. I just know this is like my journey on earth is just part of it. And because I've had dreams of like my mother who passed a couple years ago, and she's in her own classroom and she's in paradise. And God revealed to me that she's learning things where she's at right now that she had no knowledge of on earth. And others who have passed, and they're in their own classrooms. Like God himself has taught me this. And it's just so deep, you guys. It's so deep. It's like, I know that the meaning of life is Jesus Christ and it's love. But there's so much more deeper wisdom that goes into all of that, that everybody is connected. It's like everybody's connected. And we're all a part of a puzzle, and we all have our own important piece of life that God is in control of and is putting us together. If people go to Jesus, they'll get this understanding, but God's in control, and he knows, like, even those who aren't going to him, he's still using them, and even if they think they're in control, they're not. There's just so much that goes into this. I love this topic. I just got excited to want to, like, dive in and take you guys with me in spirit. And it's like right as soon as you think you know God, like it's like boom, it reminds me of like this firework, you know, like these fireworks display that just keep going off, and you're like, whoa, and you're fascinated. And just when you think you reach the grand finale of like, oh, so that's who God is, I mean, he starts setting off more fireworks and starts like showing more things that it's never ending, you guys. It's beautiful. Like I said, it's terrifying. It's beautiful all at the same time. Yeah, anyway, I could just talk about this. Like, I really feel God taking me into this season where I can just start sharing these things. And of spirit, God's revealed to me that my channel is 1 Corinthians chapter 2, and it talks about wisdom revealed by God's Spirit. And then God was like also showing me, like, there are so many things that his children are walking through that look so peculiar and strange. And to others, like even on the outside at times, I've really learned that God will have his people walk in such a way that it's beyond the comprehension of man, and it's above our thinking, because it's because we're of the earth, like just generally speaking, and God is spirit and he's from above. And so his ways are so much broader and bigger and so much deeper than we can even understand, unless he gives us that understanding, that gift of understanding, you know. But it's like he'll even withhold knowledge from me about my situation, because he's like, it's part of my test. But because I walk in faith and I trust him, you know, I know that he's going to get me through it, and he's going to finish the good work. But in saying that, yeah, there's definitely painful trials. There's strange fires and stuff where you feel alone, where no one else understands what you're going through but you and God, even those you love sometimes. Of like, my brethren and family and such, of like, wow, God's having you walk a peculiar way. And it's like, where, like, this has happened to me, to my own brethren, where I'm looking at their trials like, oh my gosh, Jesus, what is going on? Like, whoa, you're having my brethren walk a peculiar way. And then people have said like the same thing to me, and your brethren even too. But it's like, they all know, like, God will be telling everyone, like, my sheep is going through a fire. So don't just judge by appearance. Don't just walk in your own understanding and assume things, right? And evil surmising, like assuming things of something you don't know. Because I've also learned that a lot of people wouldn't understand my own fires unless they themselves are walking in it with me. Like, there's been times I've been through a lot of fires where nobody understood anything that God was doing until I came out of it, and then it became clear what God was doing in my fire. But he does that with all of his people. So I just wanted to encourage you, like, if you're walking with God and you find yourself in a fiery, strange type of trial, and you're like, whoa, this is weird, and I feel alone in this trial, and a lot of people don't understand me, and they don't understand the way I'm walking, or the obedience that I'm walking into God, because it's just not, it's above even my own understanding. But I know I'm obeying my conscience. I know that I'm obeying God's commands, in my trial and in my walk. Like, I just want to encourage you to keep going, because that's normal. That will be absolutely normal for you to have times when you feel like, you're off in the desert with God, and he's taking you aside because he's chiseling things out. He's refining you. So then when God walks his sheep through the fire, then he honors them by gifting them with more knowledge, wisdom, strength, and all of this. And they become more aware of their own personal story and the reason why God even created them. And it becomes this really deep, deep, deep love story that God's writing for all people. And he wants to reveal that to you if you would go to him for truth. Spiritual thoughts, spiritual wisdom, all that comes from God. I could talk about this for hours. God is so beautiful and so deep. I just want to encourage you guys to really seek Jesus. And yes, there's going to be very, very many painful trials. But you guys, I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's worth it. And you just, if you know that Jesus Christ is in control, that right there will help you walk through every fire that God wants to bring you through. And it's a blessing. It really is, when a person's walking through a fire, because God is honoring them and recognizing them. And it becomes personal to where he's like, okay, you're ready to walk through this fire. You're ready to do this. And I'm going to teach you. And then I also had these dreams. I'm going to share this dream that I had the other day. And it was this, like, an angel being. And it's hard to explain. But he was basically standing before me. And, like, when I was a kid, I took some karate. And it, just for a short while. I wasn't, like, into it very long. And I'm not, like, a black belt or anything like that. But he was like an instructor. He was training me in spirit, and he's like telling me to do a task, and it was like this test, and then he says, again. And then I was thinking to myself, but I just did. I just did this task. And then he goes, again. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, again. And I knew, like, he was saying, you can do better, you can do better, you can do better. So it was like this training process that God was putting me through in this dream. And he just kept saying, again, again, again. And it's just like, I just kept going and going and going, and I was sweating, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this again. And he'd be like, again, again, and then he got like more like firm, and again, you got this in you, come on. And it was like, it was terrifying, but I'm not gonna lie, it was a challenge, and it was something that I wasn't gonna give up on. Like, I knew, I'm gonna keep doing this till I get it perfect, and like, that's what this life is. And it's like a training, and God is continually training his people to really help mold our character. And it's just beautiful. So anyways, I could talk about this for hours, but yeah, I felt led to record a video, so there it is. And I hope you guys are having a great night. I'll see you soon. God bless.